feel so blah, dull, uncreative, and burned out? How can we reignite that creative spark? How can we get more creative? Well, those are questions that I got quite a bit when I was teaching photography at the college level, and they're really good questions. And often we tend to think of creativity as something that, boom, it happens all at once. But really, to get more creative, there's a process. And that's what we're going to talk about in this week's episode of the Creative Fight Podcast. In these videos, I just hop in front of a camera in my office and talk about some themes or ideas from the book with the hopes of providing you some inspiration and some ideas for living a more creative and more meaningful life. You know, there is more out there. You just have to go for it. And it's about combining some effort and some ingenuity and bringing those two things together. So anyway, with this, how do we get out of those ruts? How do we reignite the spark? Well, really, that's what chapter number, let me look it up here, number 5 is all about. And for me, creativity doesn't just happen all at once. Rather, it's about this larger process that has multiple steps. First, we have information or just raw data. Next, we have imagination. And you don't need to be Einstein to realize that imagination is more important than information, because really imagination is when information is let out of its cage and it soars and we come up with wild and interesting ideas. But it isn't enough to be imaginative. Next comes creativity. Now, this is where imagination gets to work. This is where imagination puts the gloves on, or it actually starts to do something. Creativity implies that you're making, you're building, you're doing, you're moving, you're acting, you're going for it. And so that third step is really essential. The fourth, which doesn't always happen, is innovation. This is where you create something that's good, not just maybe for you or in a small way, but it's good in a larger scale. And if we start to think about that process, it can help us get out of those ruts. Well, first we need information. What is it that you want to get better at? Well, I want to learn how to create better portraits. Okay, well, you need to study portraiture. You need to read some books, watch some videos. You need to do some work. You need to think about your gear. You need all of that. Then you need to start really imagining, what kind of portraits do I want to capture? What do I want those to look like? What's the feeling that I want to have in the frame? What's the color palette? What's the mood? And you really just start to imagine all these things. Then you start to create. Then once you've gone there and you've gone through that process, all of a sudden you're making, you're building, you're correcting, and maybe every once in a while you'll create an image which might just be innovative and it's unique and it's new and its voice, it travels far. And if we can start to think about this in regards to this process, it will help us out. And in this chapter, there is an exercise at the end. And the exercise is really just about identifying the flow of the creative process and thinking about something that you're working on. Again, whatever it is, the sky's the limit. And just saying, okay, well, I need to have different stages or phases. I need a stage where I focus in on data and information. I just need to do some research. I need to collect some ideas. Then I need to let those ideas out of their cage. And that's when we get imaginative. We just start thinking of all sorts of options and variations. It's really loose, it's free form, but keep in mind, not a lot's going to get done there. Next is creativity, where we put it into practice, where we really get going. You know, you can't steer the parked car. You got to get it rolling, and then you can actually steer it down the road. And that's where that happens. And then last but not least, we're aiming for innovation. We're aiming for creating something that's really larger than itself. We won't always get there, and that's fine, but having this process in mind can help us get out of that creative rut. It can help us to stay creative. And the trick with the process is that you need to do it all the time. It's not like it happens once and you say, well, now I'm a creative person and I'll always be creative in whatever I do. It's not like that. That's why creativity never goes out, or creative inspiration never goes out of style. It's because we always need more and more of it. All right, well, in closing, I hope that something in here was meaningful to you. I hope that it struck a chord in some way. And if so, I'd love to hear from you. If you want to post something online or social media, use the hashtag #TheCreativeFight, or you can always just reach out to me directly. It would be great to hear from you. Thanks again for watching these. Thanks for the support and all the kind words about the book. You know, this really was a labor of love for me, so it's so fun to get to talk about it. Anyway, have a great rest of your day. Fight the good fight. Keep that up. Keep it going. There is more than you realize to life, to your life. There's more out there. And I think if you start to use these exercises, they can help you get closer where you need to go, because you were designed to do and to be certain things. And that's really the sweet spot. That's where we want to go. All right. Well, as always, thanks for joining me. I'll look forward to seeing you in another one. Bye for now.